Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious.
Join us as we dive into the mystical, high-vibe ways we can connect to the universe and ourselves. We are trying anything and everything woo-woo. Whatever the result, mind-blowing, unbelievable, or hilarious, we promise to share in truth.
Ready to explore? Suspend disbelief and let's discover the mysterious together.
Hello and welcome to another episode of So Guided. Today we are going through a list of superhuman powers. Some are scientific, some are woo-woo, but they're all pretty cool. You've got questions, so do we. Let's do this.
Hi there.
Hi, it's Carissa.
It's Jenny.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I've missed you.
I missed you too. Always miss you. Excited to be here recording. Do you have a woo-woo? You want to jump right in?
Yeah. Well, before we started, we were both saying that we're in a funny period. You said that you feel very connected, but not necessarily guided right now. We probably start every episode saying this, that we're not in the flow or we're in work mode, but it's true. It's true.
I know, it's true.
It's like the new school year, so it always feels busier with kids, and like your business picked up, mine did too. I will say that I felt an energy momentum lately that feels like an undercurrent of something really strong coming, and I've been feeling it. So I feel like I have had a flurry of signs. One of my woo-woos is kind of a funky one because it's abstract, but I am meditating again.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, every other one is my to-do list. I'm just going to be honest. I sit down to meditate and my ego's involved. Okay. And I just try to give grace to myself. But the reason I'm telling you that is I'm not old school Jenny who had warm fuzzies every time and spiritual downloads. So this week, though, on a Tuesday, I think it was, I sat down, closed my eyes, and I instantly felt a presence, and I was being healed by an angel or a spirit. I closed my eyes, and I felt like a flurry of breezy energy. It felt like I was being washed inside out and out, and like cleansed.
Wow.
And I didn't ask for it. I couldn't control it. It literally just wasn't my thoughts. I just felt beautiful. It almost felt like I was like tripping out. And for like the 12 minutes of my musical track I was listening to, I felt absolutely magical. Almost when you are in acupuncture and it really hits you and you know that you're like really vibey.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, and it took over me so much that it wasn't a mind thing or a body thing.
Right, you weren't getting like messages or overthinking.
No, it was really cool, and I thought, all right, keep going meditating, because I feel like giving up because it's not every day the same. So anyway, kind of out there, but it was awesome, and it made me want to keep trying.
Wow, that's really good. I was kind of struggling coming up with a woo-woo today, but then I just remembered while you were talking that today is the anniversary of my grandma, who I talk about all the time, her passing. And I feel like I've been like, obviously I'm so connected to her and talk to her and feel her. And I feel like when I was looking for a woo-woo, just remembering that in itself is my woo-woo, because I feel like she's here and around. So I'm feeling extra connected today. I'm going to ask for signs.
What's your grandma's first name?
Elizabeth,
so join us today.
She goes by Liza.
Okay.
So, join us. Come on, Grandma.
So tell us, what are we talking about today?
Exciting news. We have a list. You know, we love our list. And today we found a list of superhuman powers. So we wanted to go through some of them. I'm sure you guys have heard of. Some of them were like new to us, and some of them are woo-woo. Some of them are more just like head scratchers. So we thought it was super cool. And you know, we'll walk through, but what we want you guys to kind of think about is like, are these superpowers that you're born with? Are these superpowers that you can access? Are these superpowers that can be focused on, grown from within? And just like, how can we access more of these superpowers for ourselves? So I'm going to actually just hand the first one to you, because I literally can't say this word and you said it so much better than me.
Tetrachromacy.
Okay. This is a superpower where certain people can see 100 million more colors than the average person. So it literally, like, their field of vision is completely different. They see different blues, different reds, and it's basically...
And all the hues.
All the hues. But, like, I mean, could you imagine seeing 100 million more colors?
No. How do they walk through the world?
I don't know. When we were like coming up with this list, we were actually wondering, do they even know that they're different? I feel like it's one of those things that when you don't know, like people who are colorblind don't realize they're colorblind. So it's like, I don't know if they even realize, like they wouldn't know the difference or how to compare to somebody else, but it must be phenomenal. And it must be like one of those things when people have like near-death experiences and they try to explain the colors they saw, that they
always
can't explain
say that. There's colors we don't know in music and sound we don't know.
Right. And like they can't put it into words. So I'm not sure this is one that we can try to get. I think you might be born with it, but definitely a cool one. Okay, the second one is super recognizers. So there are people that can basically spot and remember every face they've ever seen.
I need that.
Yeah.
I am the opposite, where I'm not sure. I feel like people look like other people. I'm the absolute opposite. So I cannot imagine. This person must be really successful in their career, by the way.
Well, they say the FBI actually uses these people. Like they use it when they're looking for suspects and stuff to see, and like looking for crimes. Like they actually like hire these type of people because they can go back in their database of life and like pinpoint people, which is crazy.
So this is also like memory storage, right? So they're remembering things in a way our brains don't filter. I wonder if some of these on the list are, you know how they say we use like 7% of our brain? Are each of these like one neuron that's firing more?
That's interesting.
I can't help but wonder that. Like we just have one teeny scratch activated more. Maybe that's it. But like that's so cool.
I wonder if that is what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's science behind some of these. There's definitely woo-woo like superhuman powers that there isn't science behind, but you can just know from people sharing and the millions of examples that it works. I'm not sure if this one falls under the woo-woo or like science or both. Like I think a lot of them could be both.
I think they're all both in a certain degree, right?
So it's almost like a God-given gift or something if you have this. So super recognized. And I actually feel like I'm good at remembering faces more so than names, but I could not imagine, like how you're saying you never you don't remember. I couldn't imagine like remembering a face you saw like just passing at the store.
Absolutely.
Like that's like what these people can do.
That's wild.
Like you pass them at the store one time, you actually remember them and could then like pinpoint, like know that you've met that person.
Very cool. The next one on the list is synesthesia.
So these people can actually hear sounds and see them as colors. They can like taste words. It's like the meshing of different senses coming together.
Very cool. So, didn't you say your son Conrad has this?
Yeah, he has it to some capacity where he like associates days of the week with colors. Like he associates different things that don't have like color patterns with colors, which I think is really neat. You had mentioned that Pharrell.
Yeah. So the Lego movie about his life, which is so cool, they actually demonstrate it in the coolest way where they show his colors and the sounds and how notes and our color, and that's how he wrote his songs. And he has like the most cool and beautiful and thoughtful music. And I think it's a part of the creative process. Like it's truly like a gift. It is 100%. A superpower.
I mean, that's such a great example of showing how it's a superpower, how he's been able to create probably the most catchiest tunes of like any generation, like in like hundreds of them. And if you do watch that movie, you'll see how much music he's touched. You don't even realize that he was behind it.
He wrote it, yes.
And so that in itself, again, like what a crazy superpower. You know what we'll have to do after we go through this list is pick which one, if we could pick one, what one we'd have.
I like that. Like that. Well, you know what's interesting too about senses is like the whole list is going to have some version of a sense, is how people have a different scale from 1 to 10, each of them, right? It's so curious how we're not all the same on that. And like to your original question, like what you can manipulate or not, like what can you hone in on? I think you can.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, but this one, you're born with it. There's no time I'm going to hear a sound and hear a color.
Right.
See color.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so either. All right. The next one on the list is savants. Mm-hmm. So this is a superhuman ability in certain areas. Like we've all like seen the stories of like a 3-year-old who can play the piano or play Beethoven, and just like people who can do all sorts of things, like insane chefs, like at young ages, and just stuff that is outside of the norm and like real savants in certain areas. This one makes me kind of think of past lives and like some of the things that people were potentially born with or did in another life so that they're like good at it in this life. Do you know any savants, or have you ever?
For sure. I feel like this is one too that does relate to you hear it with a lot of people that are highly autistic, like Rain Man, right? Where they can name numbers or like stuff like that.
Yeah,
but one of my favorite stories of late, and it definitely is a past lifey thing, there's a boy on Instagram that's got a giant following. And at about 7 or 8 years old, he started telling his mom he wanted to create fashion dresses. Ooh. And the craziest thing is this kid is creating fashion. And he started at like a crazy young age. His mom bought him fabric. No one in their family sews. It was the strangest thing. And he just started creating full-blown gowns.
Oh my God.
And this is actually someone you could follow on Instagram. And a lot of times they really made it about his fashion. But every once in a while, you could tell the mom is fully in belief of past lives now. And every 20th video kind of talks like he's not just doing this fashion at a young age. He's talking about things he knows and about his old workrooms and his material workrooms and the people who work for him. And so I think it's super cool, but his savant skill is that he truly can sew, design, and create fashion. Amazing. And it didn't match this lifetime. So I think that one's so cool.
The savant is so cool because it does really go across the gamut from like you say science and math equations that people can solve to piano to this fashion to past lives to sometimes there's an autistic side where people can do amazing things. So it's so cool how this spans so many different ways, but it's such a superpower no matter how people come to have it.
Yeah, wherever the access point is. I mean, even to go further, do you remember telepathy tapes? Mm-hmm. So they said in it that some of these autistic children, and they were the nonverbal autistic children, were going to a place that's neither here nor there in another dimension that they called a school, where they were actually learning languages and they were learning skills and being taught in almost a dreamlike place and coming back and having that knowledge. So speaking of where do we know it comes from, there's 50 things that's both makes sense in the brain and our chemistry and also scans to obviously woo-woo.
Yeah, I love it. Wow, that's fascinating. All right, jumping to the next one on our list. There are people that are natural short sleepers. So they literally thrive on 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. And this isn't insomniacs where they can't sleep. It's Opposite. They actually only need this short amount of sleep and they feel great. They act great. They have no issues where they're if you're sleep deprived, there's a lot of challenges coming with being sleep deprivation, and sleep is so important for your health. For these people, they are completely healthy, feeling great, thriving, and need about 4 hours of sleep every single night.
This really sounds like a superhero power. That really sounds like a superpower, almost an evolved biology.
Yes.
Something in our genetic evolution, they're wired that way versus being an advanced, their biology or their body figured out how to be. I could see us going that direction and they might be the first of us doing it.
How much more could they accomplish? How much more could you accomplish if you feel great after 4 hours of sleep?
Right.
So you're awake, you're doing, and granted, sleep has its own benefits and I'm sure you can access other world and dreams and whatnot, but if you really only need 4 hours of sleep to feel great, so you have 20 hours of the day.
Wow, to accomplish.
And you're again, the thing that blows my mind is that they're thriving after 4 hours.
Well, I love that. We're in a condensed space. It's what are they? Obviously I'm going to turn every one of these woo-woo, even if they're not meant to be. But what are they tapping into in that time? Are they with source and getting healed? My woo-woo story? What's happening that they got that right?
That they only need 4 hours.
I don't know. But I do have a question on that. I guess, can you make that happen? Because I've heard doctors do that. In order to train themselves to be on rotation for such long hours that they had to train themselves to have short sleeps that were impactful in recuperation. Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, and they even they have sleep rooms in the hospitals and stuff, but they've had to train themselves. So I wonder if it sounds like this is one you could be born with and it's naturally a part of you, but I think some people might be working towards it actively.
Oh, that's so...
a doctor, which makes sense, right?
Which does make sense. I always wonder how doctors, I wonder how pilots, people with some of the most important jobs are literally on call or doing their shift for 20 hours straight.
Totally.
And it's this person's about to do an operation for 20 hours. I can't do anything for 20 hours and they're literally saving lives. I always wonder how is that safe? But it sounds like they must have some capacity to train.
Here's to praying that any surgeon that ever works on us is a short sleeper.
Yeah, right, exactly. Who have this gift, have that superpower.
Right?
All right. The next one's similar to to the super recognizer, but it's a little different in that it's superhuman memory. So this is the ability to recall every detail of your entire life with perfect clarity. So you can go back to any day, whether it was a boring day, whether it was an amazing day, but like pinpoint and like pick these like perfect moments of clarity.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
So cool.
You know who I heard has this?
Who?
Will Arnett.
What?
Yeah.
That's a funny match for like a funny man.
Like, who knew? But like someone like one of his, like I was listening to his podcast and one of like the guys on it was like, oh, you have this, but you can remember everything from a day. He's like, oh yeah. Like it's a really,
that's really cool.
Wild like ability to, I don't know, to remember everything.
I don't think this is to that heightened degree of like this category, but Oliver can remember things really far back in a weird way. Like he was a toddler when we lived in our San Diego house. And the other day he said, I keep thinking about it. Can I draw it for you, Mommy? Because I remember the house. And he drew the layout of the house. And I'm like, how do you remember this from when you were 3? So it is interesting. And I think this one's like truly the storage of memory again.
So
the face recognizer.
A lot about Conrad, but Conrad has a lot of these like weird things. But he has remembering in like a different way where he'll like, I use him as my own like memory journal of like when we did stuff. So we'll go to the doctor and the doctor will be like, so did you end up like getting, did he already have his like flu vaccine or whatever? Or did he do whatever? And I'm like, I can't remember. And he's like, yes, we did that 3 years ago or whatever it is. Like he remembers the dates of like anything that's ever happened. And I'm like, oh, did you, like, we have to go to an asthma doctor, and I'll be like, oh, did you, like, when was the first time you had an episode? And I'm like, I don't know, was that like a couple of years ago? I'm not really sure. And I'll be like, Conrad, when was it? And he'll be like, it was October. And it was like 5 years ago, and he knows the exact date of everything. And it's like, I always think to myself, like, a lot of people, like, must think I'm crazy, like trusting him.
No.
Like with it, like the doctors must be like, oh, but like I know he's right. Like, and that's where I feel like it's neat. It's not just like he's like guessing or remembering, like he knows the exact date. He also
we all need a Conrad.
He also remembers every single person he's ever met's birthday. So he'll know like your kid's birthday. He didn't know your kid's birthday. He's like, oh, it's Bella and Oliver's birthday. It's like, yeah. That's he knows really everyone's birthday. So really interesting. But but he
triggers that in him.
No idea. He just has it. He just knows it. And sometimes I'll be like, hey, Conrad, when do we do this? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, yes, you do. He's like, I know, but I'm trying to like he's trying to do it.
He's dimming his light.
He's trying to do like go to the light.
Don't let dim your light, your memory light.
That's like, again, it reminds me of like the other one with memory, but memory obviously is like a phenomenon. And I do think that's one we can train a little bit. Not to that extent, but people do work on their memory. So the next one, which is right up our alley, is psychics and mediums.
Yep.
So all mediums are psychic, not all psychics are mediums. So when we differentiate, mediums are those people that can like talk to the other side, who can like access like past loved ones, who maybe access angels, guides. Psychics are those people that can like potentially see the future, read other people's energy, and kind of like know like what's happening. So I think they're obviously like different, but both are, I feel like, probably superpowers that we talk about all the time.
Totally.
And love. I mean,
absolutely. Well, I think with this category, it can only be explained in a woo-woo way. But for these people, I feel like the veil is lifted and they're seeing, like when I look out the window right now, I see what I see, right? I'm seeing a chair and a deck and then the next house. I feel like when they look out, the veil of what is just our scope of reality, it's almost like there's a richer layer that they're getting to see between it. So between me and this house, there's some energy they're reading. The veil's lifted of whatever we forget or we're told not to see when we were brought into these souls. And I think that's so cool. And in particular, like the psychic one, because we all are a little bit, what level of ourselves are we allowing ourselves to be in disbelief and see what we see?
I agree. The next one is unexplained healing. So there are people who basically have had incurable diseases, any type of diseases that are terminal, and they have been able to basically self-heal, completely like cure a disease that and everyone else would have, obviously.
This particular one, I think there's an awakening on even in the science realm where they're investigating true case studies now and getting to the bottom of it. And it goes to positive thinking and all sorts of other stuff. We're always talking about other podcasts, but that's where we're podcast listeners. We don't just create, we listen. But another one I'm listening to is a gentleman who ended up getting into Reiki healing because of one professor in school that like got him into it. And within a couple years of him having taken the Reiki, so he had the belief of energies and positivity, he got in an accident of which he was paralyzed. And he was truly, truly paralyzed. They said you'd never walk again. And he's one of those stories where he utilizes his Reiki knowledge and understanding to be positive. And he ultimately cured himself. And he walks to this day and is a motivational speaker.
Wow.
It's definitely something that Joe Dispenza wrote the book on, of he had an illness and his positivity cured it. And through energy and the focus of attention that we could change our physiological body. Yeah. It's wild.
It is wild. It's interesting to think, though, because this one makes me nervous, because I do feel like you hear about those people who, like, don't believe in science or who are trying to cure it purely by positivity, and then, like, it doesn't work.
Right.
So, like, I feel like the fact that there are people that do it, and it's like, I don't know if they were chosen to have a superpower that they can make it happen, or, like, what is it that makes those people actually successful versus the people who are, like, who you hear about, people who, like, refuse chemotherapy for cancer and just go like trying to go naturopath and positive thinking and healing and doing all like only that, and it doesn't work. I say, is it just truly that they were blessed with a superpower, or like what's the differentiator?
I mean, I think that goes pretty deep into truly understanding that our reality isn't our reality. It's not unlike manifestation. It's understanding the world in a different way. Our body is a material and we are the soul. And by like healing, I think from all the stories, this is one of my favorite kind of things that I investigate and have been reading a lot about, is that it's your soul healing you from the inside out. And so I think there might be some version of genuine connection and understanding of manipulating our reality to a certain degree. And I hear where you're saying you're nervous about putting it out in the world, like stop doing chemotherapy and stop going and getting
whatever it is.
I think you should always pursue both. But I think like ignorant optimism is never it, but there's some core thing. I will say, as far as it like relating to source, there is a book. Thank you, Beth, a listener who gave me this recommendation when I went on a trip, is a book called Dying to Be Me. And the story is about an Indian woman who actually had cancer to the point where she was completely dead. And she had gotten down to 90 pounds. I think actually even under that, she couldn't hold her head anymore on oxygen. And she truly was gone. And her body, they said they couldn't even put needles in her veins because they couldn't even find blood. Like she was basically just completely deteriorated by the time she went to the hospital and was physically dead for a certain amount of time. And there's a whole beautiful story. That's another story that I love. But one of the best parts is she went to Source, had an out-of-body near-death experience, and she felt she was with Source, heaven, whatever our goodness thing is. And she knew that if she went back with that pure, true love, that she was going to heal herself. And when she went back in her body, she actually felt sad because she was back in it. And it hurt to go from being free and in love and soul and source and all that jazz to a heavy body. But she instantly knew that she was going to heal and literally healed herself. And day by day and week by week, every doctor and actually doctors across the globe have used her as a case study because it didn't make medical sense. She's actually a documented case. And so over time, she literally gained weight, gained her abilities. And to what you said, her family was making her continue with chemo. And she knew this chemo isn't the right thing, but I know that you're coming from the right place, so I'll say yes to it. So she continued with what the medical world said, but she knew that like I'm healing myself. And not only that, she's obviously a motivational speaker and a beautiful person, but she came back and healed herself, having been from Source. So it's from the soul inside out, and our soul being a part of Source. And so it's not your soul is you Carissa, and me, Jenny, it's the soul that's one with source.
Yeah.
And I think there's some beautiful connection there.
Yeah. I have heard of other near-death experiences and they come back and heal.
Yes.
Like that is very interesting. It's like, or they have guardian angels on the other side healing them, but it feels like they have like this miraculous healed experience. And like when they come back, they're like, oh, I felt somebody working on me. I felt like these like angels doing whatever, like when they were in the hospital. That's a good one.
And I'd even say to like follow up their superpower, it was like they were kind of gifted it because most of these people went in the world to share their light and to share their story. So they feel like intentional choices to me where they were meant to go be storytellers and spread the light and the high frequency.
Right. And now they are like
they were chosen.
love.
Like that's why they were spared.
Right.
Or given the gift.
I love it.
Yeah.
The next one on the list is xenoglossy. This is when someone speaks or understands a language that they've never actually heard. So being able to just all of a sudden like hear and speak a language that's not your native language.
This, you know what I'm going to say. That
we're both going to say this. I mean, this screams past lives to us.
Screams past lives.
Right? I mean, yes. It screams. And this happened to you.
Yeah,
remember?
actually, thank you. Talking about someone with a bad memory, I like looked at you with a blank face. Yes. So absolutely. So when I went to Paris in college, I was walking. It was my first time in Paris, though I had been obsessed and in love with. I've been a Francophile my whole life. But when I was walking around, I was fluently speaking French, and it never made sense. And I actually met a stranger who was a French man. I mean, this goes past life. Like I recognized him as someone, and he recognized me, and we started talking, and I was fluently speaking French. And in the moment, it was almost as if it had been carried away. I got carried away with it to where I wasn't acknowledging in the moment that this is weird. And it wasn't till later that I thought back, oh my goodness, I just was fully in a French mode that whole day. So that, but I feel like that's a weird one because I don't know it right this minute. Right, it was a one-off.
Right. It's a one-off, but it is cool. And it's cool how it can happen. So I wanted you to share again. But it's like, I mean, in this particular example of a superpower, I mean, there are kids who literally come out, taught English or whatever, and then they'll be like, seeing something and they'll start talking like Japanese to their parents. So the parents won't even know what they're saying, and then they'll find out that it's like they're fluently speaking another language.
I think that's amazing.
Crazy and wild. And it happens. It's scientifically shown. They show that it has happened. It's documented, but it's like, how do we explain it? Past lives, the only answer for me. Only one answer there for me.
Yep.
All right. The next one on the list, I think we've all heard of this, but it's superhuman strength in like emergency situations. I mean, this is the classic example that we've all heard of since we've been like born, is when like a kid is stuck under a car and the mom lifts the car. And so I don't think it's a superpower that is like constantly, like I don't, in this one, don't think of it as like you walk around.
It's on demand.
It's an on demand and it's in like those like experiences where like you need the help or like something is like basically getting your adrenaline up, but going beyond that. Again, when I look at this from my woo-woo standpoint, like this reminds me of like a guardian angel or someone there helping in some capacity to like do the impossible. Yeah. Because it's like that important, like saves a life or is like, haven't you like heard about this one forever?
Oh,
like, this is like the old wives' tale or whatever it is.
Oh,
that,
like, the exact thing you think of is the mom lifting the car.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like we all grew up with this one, like knowing that this could happen.
Totally.
The next one, which I'm going to let you explain a little bit because you know more about it than I do, but is time manipulators.
Time manipulators. So this is a bizarro one to get into, but this has come up in a lot of, I do weird group stuff. Like I go to the Salt Cave and do groups, and there's a lot I follow on our Instagram. Our So Guided Instagram feed gives me a lot of cool people.
Yep.
And one of the things I've noticed over and over again are people talking about time glitches, kind of the glitch in the matrix, but also people who understand time as something you can manipulate. And that is, if we go along and suspending disbelief, they say that Earth and humans, we are the only dimension that has time, and we created it linear, but it actually isn't. So some people, in the same way a psychic can have that power or a medium can channel, this is someone who understands that time is our construct and can manipulate it. So it makes it so that, let's say you're meditating. That could be 30 minutes in a 10-minute time period. You could have almost like your time sleepers, your short sleepers is this idea of expanding time. So if you have these 10 minutes, you almost let the bottom drop out and time is expansive instead of linear. So if you think about like almost like a hole underneath you and time's running along your horizon, you let that bottom drop out from underneath you, and all of a sudden in what in this reality is 10 minutes, you can have hours. And so there's an idea that certain people understand this and can play with it. And I feel like there are people that know about this and talk about it. I don't understand how they do it, other than that it makes sense to me from some sort of, I get it, but I can't do it.
So I have not gotten it, but I just had an aha moment when you were explaining it to me. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you're like, when you wake up in the morning and your alarm goes off and then you press snooze and you go back to sleep and you feel like you have the longest dream.
Yes.
And your dream's like 10 days long and you're literally like, you have so much stuff happen in your dream, but then you wake up and you realize you had just gone to sleep like 3 minutes ago.
Boom.
But your dream was so long. I feel like these people must have the ability to do that when waking.
Exactly.
Where you feel like you have this extremely long time frame when it's in our world super short.
You just nailed it.
Yeah, right?
Because when we go to sleep, that's our consciousness. So our consciousness awake lives in the material world. Our consciousness asleep does not. So time does not apply in our sleep.
Yep.
So that is so cool because you're right. I think you nailed it. So that's people who have figured out
how to do that when they're...
So it's almost accessing your different version of consciousness.
Right. That's,
wow.
That's cool.
Boom.
That's a good one. I like
brain emoji.
Because I've been having, even that's why I made you explain it. I'm like, the time manipulator stuff is so hard to explain, but I get it. If you can do that.
Right.
I mean, that's a superpower. If you can do that when you're awake and like figure out how to do it, how to give yourself more time.
Well, even so, like, I mean, I think even it can happen spontaneously too. I've had where it didn't make sense that I made it in a certain amount of time to a place that should have been a 30-minute drive and made the boat to Boston in 20, and it didn't make sense. And it was like my wish or desire to do so badly manipulated the time continuum. I feel like although it sounds wild, we actually might be doing it more than we think.
Yeah.
I bet everyone listening has a story where time doesn't make sense. It was longer or shorter than what it should have been.
Right. I just read something actually that when you experience awe, as in like something like takes your breath away or something like puts you into a state of like awe, it actually slows down time. And like you feel it and you're in time, like you can actually slow your own time by doing certain things. So I agree. I bet it happens to us more than we realize. And again, I feel like the people who know how to do it are probably more cognizant of it.
Right.
Instead of just being like, wow, that was wild. I can't believe I made it.
Right.
You know, like time-wise.
Cool.
That's a fun one. All right. The next one we touched on like for a minute, but in a different capacity, telepathy. So now you mentioned the telepathy tapes and about how like there's more like it's been studies with like autistic children and how they can basically like read the minds of people and like that's how they communicate. And this is, you know, obviously that, but also like there are people who are telepathic on like a more average scale. Like there's more and more research and showing that this superpower is something that you probably have with like your loved one. Like you probably have with people that you're in your house with because you sync on a level. I think that you can probably train this a little bit, like as like a regular person. I feel like, especially me and like my husband, like well, all of a sudden I'll be thinking about something so random and I'll be like, and he'll just ask a question about it. And I'll be like, wait a second. I'm like, dude, and I think to myself, like, how do you know? Like, I was just thinking about that. And I tell him, and I do the same thing to him all the time. Yeah. And we always say to each other, like, dude, get out of my head. Like, get out of my head. Like, and we've been saying this long before, like, there was, you know, like this, like, not scientific, but there's like reporting on it long before like a podcast that was all about it. Like, it's just something that I feel like telepathy is like something where you can read the minds of others.
I think so. I think this is another one like the time glitch thing. I think that this happens to all of us more than we think. There's times that like, this is terrible. We're talking about, mine's negative about Brian, but sometimes he'll get like mad at me and like, he'll be like, I can't believe that you're thinking that right now. And it wasn't words I said out loud. And I'm like, sheesh. Yeah. What I saw. But like I remember there's a story when Isabel was little and it just felt so out there that it like I remembered it forever. And it made me think at the time that she was psychic. And now in our new understanding, I just think it's telepathy. But she was snuggling me. And I have a very special aunt that doesn't live anywhere near us that unfortunately Isabel doesn't get to be near that often. And while I was snuggling her, I was thinking, I really miss Aunt Sue. I need to call her or write her. And Isabel was just in my lap having her bottle, and she just looks up at me with her big, beautiful blue eyes and said, Mommy, you need to call Aunt Sue. And it was just like blew me away. But I feel like,
oh my God,
isn't that cool?
Isn't that amazing though, that like at the time you thought she was psychic, and maybe she is, but like now knowing it, don't you 100% believe that it was like telepathy? Like
Yes.
I love that. Like as we've learned more about stuff,
Me too.
I'm like, oh, of course you're telepathic with my family too. Like, of course, like there are a million examples of us all reading each other's mind. Like, and so like, I actually don't know how people don't believe this, because it happens so often. And I feel like if people stop and think, like the people that they are close to, I bet it's happening to them so much more. It's not coincidence. It's not some like, oh, that's weird, I was thinking about that too. It's like, no, you guys are literally in each other's heads.
Right.
You know, like the frequency field is so much further than like what's like right inside of us. Like, why wouldn't they be able to feel that thought and know what you're thinking?
I totally agree with that. So with mental telepathy, I definitely know from experience that we can make it happen too.
Okay.
So I've told this story once before, but it was like our second episode. So here it goes.
Tell it.
But when I was about in junior high, I was obsessed with this topic. And I had gotten a book with a step-by-step guide on how to do mental telepathy, how to make it happen. And I remember it being so specific, it literally had steps you go through. And it had said, if you're ever going to try this with someone you're super close with. And my dad and I are very connected. And so I thought, I'm going to do my dad. So to set the stage, it's hot, it's summer, it's about midnight, and we live in a 2-story home, and all of our bedrooms are on the top floor. And I decide to tell my dad, get me a glass of ice water. And I put all my energy in it. I followed all the steps. It included something like imagining being in his consciousness, making it a field of black like a movie screen, make the movie screen black, tell him to let his thoughts be clean and clear, and then type in white letters what you want him to do. And then say it out loud as well. So I go through all these steps, I do it, and then I'm done, and nothing happens. And I'm like, actually, I felt drained too.
Yeah.
I felt energy drained. Yeah. And then about 2 minutes later, I hear steps coming from the downstairs. My dad walks in my room as if in a zombie trance, hands me an ice water, and walks away.
I love that story.
And I was freaked the F out. I like ran past him to my mom, and was like, Mom, because it scared me. But it was so cool. And I never tried it again. I should. We all should. But anyway, just so cool. I think we could all do it.
That one's a cool one because you actually got him to do something. Whereas I feel like my examples are more like you feel like someone's reading your mind, or like all of a sudden you're talking about the same random subject, you know, like versus like you actually were able to like manipulate his like actions. Which is like, I feel like another, like we're talking about layers, like that's another layer of like telepathy.
It's a layer, but I think like if you went through the steps and had my book, you could do it. And so could the next person listening to this. Like that's kind of the point. Isn't like, I think one of our funny things that, again, we used to hate it, and now I think it's really beautiful that we're not special. Like my stories are not special. Every one of us can do what we're talking about. We feel this way a lot of the time.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about this list is some of them I'm like, there's no way anyone could do this. Some of them are like, I think this is one we can like learn.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Our next one on the list is by location, and it kind of falls in line with remote viewing. So by location is basically people who can be in 2 places at one time, which again kind of blows my mind. And I guess like there's reports of this like documented from like saints and some people who are like, I don't know, throughout history. So that one was like almost hard for me to even grasp. So we kind of bucketed that with remote viewing, which is something that basically people can like close their eyes and transfer their consciousness to another place, sometimes places they've never even been to, and they can look and see the location and actually know what's going on there. And this is a phenomenon that has been studied by the CIA, has been like goes beyond woo-woo, although people who do it tend to be quite woo-woo, but like can actually be trained where you can like literally like close your eyes and transport and basically know what's happening or see what's happening in a totally different location, thousands of miles away from your own body.
One of my favorites about this list is this is the most woo-woo and documented like just true use. It's a military use. They literally have departments on this, and it's not just our government, it's other governments too.
It also makes me think that like a lot of the stuff, like even how we know that like governments are like somewhat like hiding aliens, or like, you know, like now I guess they're like admitting that there's like unidentified objects, but like I think like everything tries to be so scientific, but when you start digging, you realize that a lot of this stuff can't be explained, but they know it's real.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if it can be explained or not. It's like it can be done, so why not use that? Like, why not use it? And so it's like that one is like, you know, people are doing this. Like it's like it may be classified how they do it or whatever, but it's like a real thing.
It is.
And it's helped solve cases. It's helped it's helped the world in a lot of ways of like figuring out where people are of like.
Well, this is a good one for like the case that we should be promoting all of our intuitive skills. Like on this list, the ones that you can manipulate and increase and get better at is like, what if we were teaching these kind of cool things from the start, right? We talk about this all the time, but we're missing the mark on what we're capable of. And this is one of them that like,
oh my God.
But I've seen like stories, like documentaries on remote viewing. And it's like, I remember a show, it was like, I think during COVID that it was out, where like a couple celebrities went to a remote viewing class with the FBI or CIA or whatever department it was with. And they were trained and they did it.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of those that we could do.
Oh, it is like annoying how we do miss the mark. We think about even like mark. How we like when kids are little, the veil is so lifted, they can see things, they have intuition, they have like all this connection, and then like the world starts like closing in on them, and they lose a lot of that ability instead of us like fostering it since they're born. And like the whole, if like even in like school, like we teach them math, we teach them science, like why don't we teach intuition? Why don't we teach them to trust their gut? Because like everyone has a gut instinct no matter what. Like why are we not fostering that of like, and there's ways to do it. Like just how you can teach remote viewing. You can teach people to know the difference of like when something feels right for your body, when something doesn't feel right for your body. Like why are we not, again, like encouraging the superpowers that wouldn't even be superpowers if we encouraged it? They'd be normal things that we would all rely on. And it'd be a lot easier, like lighter life, I feel like.
I agree. I like lighter life. But I feel like that's the evolution of us. Is more mental telepathy, is more remote viewing. Like they even say that, wow, talking about a tangent on this one, right? But they say that it's possible that some of like the so-called aliens that are visiting us is us in the future, and we're just evolved and we communicate with mental telepathy and stuff, which I kind of think is a cool concept. And I'm way out there. But I think the idea is with remote viewing, we've heard enough to know that this was something you could develop.
100%.
And I think that's exciting in the realm of like what's possible with our bodies, our minds, and our spirit.
Yeah, yeah. The next one's a fun one, which we love, is animal communication. Ooh. So there are people out there who can communicate with animals. And this is neat because it's not just like, oh, I can communicate with a dog or a cat. Like some of these people can connect with like bees, can connect with like giraffes, can connect with like any sort of animal, and can actually like read their minds. And there are people that go out and like help these animals,
right? Because
they know like what is like wrong with them or what's challenging them. And I had listened to like one of these people and like heard like a story about them, and they were sharing how they had like helped an animal who was high anxiety. So the animal was like really anxious, and it was always like getting so upset, and like it was a dog, but like going crazy when the owner left. And they were able to say like, hey, I'm reading your dog, like, and basically they're afraid they're going to be neglected. So every time you leave, you should just let them know where you're going or how long you're going to be gone for. And so I have a dog who I feel like is super anxious. So I kind of like just took that and I've been telling Feather like when I'm leaving, like how long I'm leaving for. And I've been like much more kind of telepathy based with her, just knowing that she can probably read what I'm thinking. Yep. I also think the animals can read us more so.
Totally.
And so it takes a certain human to be able to like connect with the animal. And so I've been trying to take that advice and do the same thing for Feather, because I totally buy into this. And I know for a fact, like my old dog, I was like, she knew all the time what was going on. Like, and she could totally read me. And I feel like I could read her, but this is like, I feel like a cool one.
Very, very cool.
Any other thoughts on that one?
No, we just had one time when we had done the party and we had a couple of psychics come and do quick readings for everyone, that one of the people there was born with the animal telepathy and psychic abilities, where she was a communicator. And she was saying like she had met, I think it was Cooper, my doggy Cooper at the time, and it said something like, he doesn't want to let you go. And it was like end of life. And like, so anyway, I have had a brief experience, and you do feel like that's a special talent.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You're on a different level of consciousness to tap into their version of consciousness, I think.
All right. The next one is telekinesis. This one is the power to like move or like bend objects.
Have you ever seen this in your life?
I've seen it like magicians.
Yeah.
And like I've seen it like on TV. I've never seen it. Have you in real life?
No. And that's why I'm wondering, like, I think there's documented cases on it.
There is.
And this is another like literally mind over matter. It's figuratively.
This is like a big one where I feel like you've probably seen a magician like bending a spoon with their mind.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a spoon is like the big one that they do a lot. There was another one that kind of fell into this, which I had never heard of. Whereas there are certain people with this superpower that actually are like magnetic to actual metal. So like magnetic and like the science of like they draw metal to them and like metal will like stick to them as like a superpower.
That makes me think of like an Avengers movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of superpowers that we're actually not talking about that are like movie like don't break your bones and stuff like that. We chose to leave those out, but there are like legit superpowers that look like superheroes for sure.
That's fun.
So the last one on our list, which we kind of took our list and looked at it from our sense and then like the scientific sense too. But the last one on our list for today is one that we both totally buy into, but again, another one that's hard to wrap your head around, shape-shifting. So there are people out there who can alter their physical appearance to be a lot of things, but I feel like in the superpower realm, to be more pleasing to certain people or to fit in certain situations. It can probably be used in a lot of ways. I think we've seen it.
Oh, yes,
we've seen it in actually one of our like experiences together. And personally, I don't think that person was doing it purposefully.
No.
And so I think she had the ability, but we saw her, as like in a regular like capacity. And then we saw her in a different experience. She seemed like almost like angry in a different experience, and she looked like a totally different person.
It didn't look like, if you took a picture of her being her sweet self and talking to what she got mad about something we had said.
Right.
And so her entire face turned, but it wasn't like just the emotion, anger on her face.
It was,
she physically, if you took a picture, looked like two different person.
Two totally different people.
And like later we like talked about it in the car and said, holy crap. And then going back, because we had spent quite a bit of time with this person, we had seen even more than those two faces.
Yeah.
We had seen multiple faces.
And that was our first time, I think, as humans.
Hearing this terminology.
And we said, like, oh my God, she's a shapeshifter.
She's a shapeshifter.
And we had thought of it like from like again, superhero movies where you like it's so extreme they turn into like a chameleon or something. That wasn't what it was. But we were like newer in our journey. We're like, this is crazy. That was a shapeshifter. I mean, 100%. I think it may be like in that capacity may not be something that was like purposeful or that they had wanted us to see, but it can be a superpower and can probably be used for a lot of like, it can be used to change a lot of experiences for the person. I feel like this holds a lot of power for whoever has
This is very powerful.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like this holds like this can definitely manipulate a situation for good or bad. I guess all of these can probably do that. But I found this one to be especially wild. That people can literally shapeshift.
I would have thought this is more like talking alien stuff if that hadn't have happened to us. But having witnessed it in front of my face, I actually saw it. And it's also like glitch in the Matrix-y, where you're like it's like if you're watching a cartoon, it went like fuzzy and flipped to a new face. So I feel it because we experienced it.
Well, and I feel like this one, if I hadn't experienced that, I would have. My example would have been like Seinfeld, where there's like sometimes people look good in good light and bad in bad light, where they look like pretty sometimes and ugly other times, and you're like, oh my God, like their face looks so different. Now, I do not think that's shape-shifting. I feel like that's bad lighting, and I feel like different angles can really change a face. This was so specifically different. This was a different person.
I agree.
Depending on the time. It was a pure shapeshifter. So again, this one might be hard for you guys to buy listening, and fine, totally get it. We wouldn't have bought it so hard, but we had to include our list because we've seen it in real life. So that's the list we came up with. If you had to pick one that you could like basically have as your superpower and you need to learn it, you just had it, it was there, it was easy, and it was like at the top of your game, which one would you pick?
I was going to say mental telepathy, but I don't think I want that. Actually, it's too distracting to live life like that.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the old standby. I'd rather just be incredibly psychic.
Oh, yeah.
I just go in hard on that and understood my craft. I embraced it, not this confusing, clouded in-between version. What about you?
So I feel like it's so lame because I was also going to say psychic. So I'm going to take that one off the table because, of course, you and I would want to do something like that.
That's okay.
But I think I'm actually going to say I'm going to go with the unexplained healing, not just to heal myself, but I'm going to take it as like I would love to be able to like heal myself, others, without like know how to do that. And again, the way we explained unexplained healing was that someone's been able to like fix themselves. But I do think taking it that next level, if I had the ability to do that, to like look at anybody and heal them would be amazing.
All right, now mine sounds lame. I want yours. I love it. But I do. And actually, as we talked about that list, that one felt the most spiritual in a way in origin.
Right.
Like connection with source. That sounds like a peaceful life if that was yours too.
Right.
And you're putting good in the world. I like it. I buy that one too.
Yeah. The time manipulation is pretty cool too, though. If I can learn more of what that was, if I can understand.
Totally.
Because one of my things, I want to understand so much how time is not real. Time is just a construct. Like I want to understand that. I want that to make sense to me because I believe it. I just don't understand it. So if I can understand it and then manipulate, that must be pretty cool.
Well, it's so funny how things like are kind of out of focus concepts and they start to like the lens starts to clear it and turn. The time one is clearing up for me, but I'm not ready to verbalize it yet.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to our list. Hope everyone enjoyed and pick your superpower. Like the show? We love your support. Right now, we're doing an awesome giveaway. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Screenshot the review and send it to hello@soguided.com or DM us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. You'll be entered to win a basket of our favorite woo-woo goodies, crystals, cacao, and all the high-vibe goodies we love. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You can follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.